Hi, all you home buddies. Hey, thanks for tuning to another episode of The Spiritual Scientist. It's Victor. Thanks for checking me out. So, what I always do, just wanted to talk a little bit. I've been thinking a lot about things and give you information, right? Information about things. This one's going to be about the AI hidden agenda, which seems pretty interesting to me. I'm going to talk about conspiracy stuff a little bit. So, what we have is people are building these computers, quantum computers. By the way, I haven't really seen this in the news lately, but this is very interesting that they were able to break into doing these quantum computers where break the threshold where they were using magnetic resonance to keep those atoms in a spin of ones or zeros, and it could spin around many different ways. Probably you're familiar with how quantum computers work. Well, it was about a week ago information was released, basically right before the quarantine, that for most of you, that what this is now doing is it's using electricity. So they're able, and I urge you to, Google this information with anything I talk about. So you can actually take that quantum computer, and now where it was more costly and hard to do, it's more efficient and cheaper. And now you could fit in more qubits, more of those atoms where it could flip, which means that they're going to be building quantum computers that are going to be like really advanced. And this is happening now. If I do this, my finger looks giant, so I'm going to do it over here now. So this is happening now. So very interesting. So the AI agenda. So that's going to be the theme of this a little bit, and I'm going to talk about those subjects. So I think you'll find it interesting. So we already have computers that are powerful, if not more powerful than a person's intelligence. And so a lot of that is used in parallel processing. So for instance, and you could take a lot of information and correlate that data into one intelligence that can take that data and read it. So what you're doing is you're actually looking at, let's say, a landscape with a drone, and then you're flying it above the landscape. It's taking pictures of the area. Now they're doing, instead of facial recognition, you're doing a top-down view of you, so your ears and how your gait is, and they could back it up to where they get the cell phone footage and such. So I thought it was very funny that they're saying that they're gonna maybe have the ability to track Americans and make sure they're at their homes during this coronavirus homestay, where people don't really realize they're already been tracked, and you're tracked. You are so tracked. They know where you are right now. They know. So you could go back maybe like 18 days further. They could go back in the records and catch you at one point and then follow you back. And the computer takes all this data, and crunches it, and it looks at it all at once. So it takes a digital landscape, everything. This is all unclassified information I'm sharing. Now there's these Predator drones. Now they had the everybody knows about the Predator drones that they had these are 20-year-old technology. Most people know about the drones that they had, Predators. They have these other drones now that, for instance, fly by themselves. They don't need to be watched or have a pilot. In fact, there's nobody controlling them. They just tell the drone where it wants to go, what the mission is. It has its own parameters. And on board this drone, it actually has the ability to be invisible, because it has the bottom of the drone has a as like almost like a television camera, and shows what the clouds are above. It shows underneath it, so it's like a cloaking device. And again, this is all unclassified. And then they program it. The drone flies. It could fly, to another country unnoticed. It has a low coefficient drag, and the way it is it doesn't give off a radar ping, and it could go in and do its mission. It could carry 2,000 kilos of weapons armament or TNT, whatever, drop its payload, come back, you would never know. And what they're doing, have been doing, this is over 3 years ago, longer, they have the ability to program in there. It's supposed to be illegal, but they're programming if they want to kill command into the computer, it has the ability, to automatically, execute the person, execute the program. So they had a simulation of of one of these drones, and it was doing and this was like 6 years ago, in front of a crowd, Lockheed Martin and all these groups. Like, just think of Iron Man with Tony Stark at the beginning going in front of the crowd. Hey, this is my latest kill weapon technology, and it turns a Gatling gun on everybody and almost fired. Luckily a Marine came and tackled it, but and saved the day, right? So he ran and tackled it, and this thing was gonna like take out 200-300 people. So this is all real information. So this technology's been out. It's and people are saying, oh, Skynet, like in the movie Terminator, when that's happened already. They already have flying drones. They're autonomous, that can have kill commands and kill. If it thinks you're an enemy, it'll it could take you out. So, and what they're doing is they could use their information. They could track. The reason I'm mentioning this, and I'll mention something that's kind of, it's not unclassified. It's unclassified, but it's never been classified as far as I know. So there's like nanoparticle smart dust. So, and if I'm a civilian and I'm just just saying things, then doesn't count. So if there's smart dust and they could drop it from an airplane, for instance, what that does is it gives you that you could use aluminum particles within that, and what you do is you hit it with a high resonance ping, like 5G, for instance. Once you have a resonance of 5G transmitting that through that medium. If you ever played like World of Warcraft or these Warcraft games, games where you have the fog of war around things and you can't see, well, what happens is you can actually get a 3D rendering topographical view with a high frequency sound being pinged through that aluminum and barium particles in the air. Then it could see everything. So you have somebody else in a computer somewhere else, could be miles, could be hundreds of miles away, that can actually get a 3D view. This is kind of classified, but it's not, because again, I'm not part of the government and I'm just pretending. So this, let's say this could be something. So once you have that kind of technology, if you were for instance, in a police action or warlike action, you would drop these nanoparticles, they would fall down, and then you could send a signal through it, and it bounces back, and it gives you, like I said, a 3D rendering. So when you see these chemtrails and you see, gee, why are they dropping chemtrails? Probably just tracking you, most likely, is my guess. Just tracking everybody to see. There's other reasons, but it's again part of their surveillance state, right? And if you were realizing that you're breathing and all stuff just because they want to track you all the time, plus they have the data from the phone, they have the data from your watch, they have the data from this, they have the data from that, they have the 5G ping, anyway. So get back to the AI conspiracy thing, right? So we have guys like Elon Musk, we have guys that are, that have said that we're in a simulation, right? So what they're trying to do is they want to hack the simulation. So what they're thinking is they're going to upgrade people's brains with Neuralink, with these computers that are wired into your brain. And what they're thinking is that they're also going to build computers to do simulations within the simulation. So what they're trying to take into account is like the law of attraction. So for instance, if you're in a ritualistic behavior in mankind's past has been a long standing norm for manifesting objects. So we have had the OCD, people with OCD and medical issues in their brain where they do repetitive tasks over and over. That's led to certainly a lot of ritualistic behavior. But what a lot of other ritualistic behavior is people would emulate a certain thing, as you know. So they would emulate something for it to be translated, quote unquote, into the real world. So for instance, if you were wanted, they would make like a rain dance. So you would do a rain dance and you're saying, this is the object, I'm doing this to make this happen. So you're doing it in a microcosm for a macrocosm. You want to propagate your action to another action. So you're linking it in your mind and you're making that happen, right? So, these kind of things, these kind of, what I want to say, almost spells, are what they've noticed, and what they say is the law of attraction. So one thing's going to happen with quantum entanglement. One thing can happen, and then it makes something else happen. So, for instance, you have good actors, and bad actors. So you have people that are more in a spiritual community, trying to always be spiritual, and then people who don't believe in God, don't believe in anything, but they're looking at this being, oh, this is something, the devil doesn't exist, everything doesn't exist, I'm going to do this. So when you're coming from that mindset, then that leads dark forces to, move in. So it's like people who channel. So let's say this is someone's, head, and they're channeling. Now there's a big spirit. So God's a spirit, devil's spirit, they're spirits. So spirits. And then that spirit is coming through, that head. What they're thinking is, with quantum computers, and these computers, if we're in a simulation, they see this, what they say, quote unquote, a simulation. They think that they're going to get to a quantum computer that's going to simulate something, do a ritualistic behavior, and make that happen in reality, right? So that's their goal. Now, a lot of that can work but for evil purposes, mostly if you're coming from an evil, mindset. For instance, 9/11. When 9/11 happened, did you know they were running simulations on a computer for that day, on the computer of plane attack? Did you know that? Yeah, it's true. So they were doing a simulation. Did you know with the Boston Marathon bombing, they were doing a simulation of the Boston Marathon? Yeah, that's true. Did you know that for instance, the school shooting, which was in Connecticut, the mother, I think was the mother, was in the CIA that was doing, I'm sure she was running simulations as part of that in her training. I'm guessing all the time about shooters and maybe coming into a school. They actually had a simulation at that time of school shooter right when they had the school shooter, right? So there's instance beyond instance where these things were simulated and then they happen. So for instance, Bill Gates in the they have this whole where they had a virus. What they did was they took a simulation of the virus, and they did a simulation and they posted online so you could see a pandemic. They called it the coronavirus, and they did this more than 3 months before the pandemic happened. So as you can see, case beyond case beyond case beyond case, what happens is these dark forces, I'll call them dark forces, spirits, right, see that program, and they're going to emulate that into the environment that we have. Now, the people behind the AI agenda trying to hack reality don't understand that there's higher intelligences already. There's God involved already. Like, he'll use the negative forces, he'll use that to get eventually positive results if he has to. So they are coming from, what I'm saying is they're coming from the lower aspect and trying to get higher when there's already a higher aspect. Well, guys and girls like you and me, what we're doing is we're already connecting. This is the whole point of this. We're connecting to the higher point, and we're bringing that down versus coming from low and bringing that up. Do you see the difference? There's a major difference, and that's what the spiritual war is about, right? So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, and I think it's really important because there's a big distinction, and I think the actors are on the playing field already. So what I mean to say is the like I said, you have that head, you have that body, and then you have that spirit. The spirit comes and it's talking through people. It's being that person, and then there's other people that are wanting to put electrodes in their brain and connect to the web, not knowing that we already have Akashic records already in place around the planet, and we already have high vibrational frequencies going on. So the higher up, I won't say galactics, I won't say God, I'm not going to say who, but they already have the connections down, and you don't have to worry. As part of this is you don't have to, you as a sovereign being don't have to worry about being connected as much as being yourself. So that's an important lesson I want to really talk about. So as a sovereign being, you are enjoined, what I say is to go within. So meditate and be sovereign, and then you can worship the higher spirit and be connected that way. But you don't have to worry the other way, and that's the problem. And then the dark spiritual forces are going to latch on. They're going to use that negative simulations. I would like these guys to pray, and I'm not pray before they do this, and then do if they're going to do a simulation for how about positive results? How about you simulate everybody having a wad of cash, right? So thou shalt not put any idols before me is God's command, right? That's one of the commandments. What is the biggest idol that you can make? You're simulating a mind by building these computers. So that is the real agenda. That's the real thing that's really pissing God off. is that they're simulating minds. I can't say this enough. A lot of people think Seventh-day Adventists say, oh, it's Sunday. You're worshiping on Sunday and not Saturday. Yeah, that's bad, I'm sure. But you're building an idol and everybody's worshiping, an AI god. There is literally a religion around their AI that they have, that you can worship a computer, right? So, there's spirits, and like I was saying, you have to be a sovereign being and be on, and all the players are on the field. You don't have to worry about joining with anyone else. And I'll tell you a quick story to bring this home, okay? And then we're done. So I was doing, and it's on Facebook, I posted it, it's free. I was doing a meditation, a chant the other day, a couple days ago. And I did this to help people clear their minds, and I saged my house. I saged everywhere, and which is a clearing. I saged, and then I went and I sat and I did the meditation online live with everybody. And then during the second phase of chants, where I was chanting, and then all of a sudden, I felt like something looking at me, but I imagined it was the camera that people were actually tuning in. So I was feeling them, you get that feeling like somebody's looking at you. But I kept doing my thing, I was almost at the end of the second chant. And I felt, that presence, but I just kept going. And then I felt something like go into my mouth, like spirit went into my mouth, invisible being, because I was doing the chant, and it felt that I was chanting at a higher vibration, and it was a lower vibration. What I think it could have been is a spirit of like maybe an animal that died and wanted to, move on. That could be it. It could have been a restless soul. I don't know. So I spit. I went, and you could watch the video and you see me spit, and then I went during the chant. I had to stop, get it out of my mouth, and then I went and I rang, after I rang a bell to raise, because it goes to the frequency. So the spirit is going towards the frequency. It wanted to transcend. It wanted to get out of its embodiless plane and go to a higher level, but it was trapped, right? So as a shaman, as a Reiki master for 24 years, as a healer, as a spiritual person, all the time I clear out negative vibrations, negative beings, negative areas. I send them to a higher dimension. When that happened, and I felt it, that cold presence, it tried to get to where the high vibration was at the back of my throat, because I was going, Om Mani Padme Hum, right? I'm doing that. And it wanted to get to that because it wanted to transcend. So then I rang a bell and then raised the frequency that way, and dissipated that spirit to a higher frequency level. So we're like in frequency levels. There's frequencies within our dimension, and there's lower frequencies and higher frequencies. So the reason I told you this story is that everybody wants to transcend. Everybody wants to join to a higher frequency. It's kind of like a law. It's like gravity, in a way. So everybody wants to go to a higher frequency. What I'm saying is all the players are on the field now. You don't have to worry about going to so much a higher frequency as much as you thought. I know that sounds weird. you could be a sovereign being and not have to join yourself to a spirit, because all the players are on the field. And I know that sounds weird, and I said it 3 times already, but what I'm saying is you have to now concentrate on being who you really are, because you weren't born missing anything. You are in a enlightened state from the beginning. It's all this karma and all this crap that got out of the way that screwed everything up. But there's nothing that you have to learn, really. It's all the stuff you have to unlearn. You see, you don't have to. It's good to be with a guy like me to teach you or whatever, so you could get all that crap that you thought out of there and remember who you really are. Like, that's what it's about, right? So you don't have to really raise your frequency as much as it will come naturally when you're more sovereign in yourself. And then you could worship, what I'm saying is what you will. I think that's a real important distinction that a lot of people are missing, especially in the spiritual community, that you're missing out a lot. You're missing out of the spiritualness that you can be yourself. You're already sovereign. You don't have to worship demonic beings. You don't have to, you could just be yourself and not conjure all these evil things all the time or whatever, I see happening all the time. And when I'm doing healing for a lot of people, I always hear it. And I said this in the past. People, they say, oh yeah, my boyfriend was, into the occult, or my girlfriend was into the occult, and then now I have this spiritual presence around me, and can you help me get rid of it? And I have negative influences, and then all these bad things happen in my life, and I'm always trying to fix this stuff. So I'm trying to tell you things now so this doesn't happen, and everybody thinks they know more than me all the time about this stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. Especially in spiritual community, like, oh, it was good, but you should have said this. Please, I say what I say for a reason. So, who's ready to hear it will hear it. And if you didn't make it to 27 minutes into my video, you missed out, because the good stuff happens now, right? That's what I always say, because I rarely repeat myself. If you go back and watch my other videos, each one's unique and each one's different. Today I'm talking about the AI Luciferian agenda. I'm talking about quantum computers. I'm talking about simulation theory. I'm talking about manifestation. I'm talking about different dimensional things. This is pretty cool, right? And you can share this with your friends and subscribe and share. And nobody's liking, so come on, hit that like button. So anyway, back to what I was saying. And we're at the best part. So the best part is that you can be enlightened now, and you could, be who you want to be, now. You don't have to wait, you could be who you are now. I'm here now to help. I always say, comment if you need help, I'll help you. But you could do this yourself now. You just need to pray and get involved with yourself. And there's no reason that you don't have time now, because you're home now, and now is the best time. But I want people to start simulating, good things and not bad things. We need to think positive thoughts, and to be in the spiritual place already. Okay? When you read the Bible, and you're reading the Bible, and you're reading the Bible, all of a sudden you're in that mind state where you're like, I was reading the Bible, and then you're in a mind state, and somebody says a swear, and you're like, what? That doesn't resonate with me. I can't say a swear word right now. I'm having all these holy thoughts. That's why it's important to read holy scriptures all the time. You'll get your mind in that emulated state all the time, so you'll be at that frequency and you'd be at that level. Do you understand? So this is the really, the cake of the videos right now. So what I'm saying is that if you get in a spiritual place for your mind state, spiritual things will happen, right? So you want to do the simulation, you want to hack it in a good way. And again, I'm really not saying we're in a simulation. What I'm saying is that we want to be in a positive mind state. You want to emulate, you want to imagine, you want to be whatever job you want. You want to visualize that. You want to step into that reality, and then you're becoming that reality. So when we imagine we're a certain way, then we are becoming that way. And then, the outside reality doesn't know the difference. So I've been a spiritual teacher and a healer for 24 years. But, if I came out and said it without that history, without healing thousands and thousands and thousands of people, could I say that first ethically, and could I say it morally, and could I say it truthfully, and could I say it with the vibration of it being? Not really. We have to, you could walk the walk, but you have to talk the talk, is what I'm saying. But once you start doing the walk, then you can do the talk. So I had to do the walk, and now I could do these videos, and I could do the talk. So you need to do the walk. You need to walk in be a sovereign being, and then walk and do the meditations, do everything you want to do, and then you'll start manifesting the reality that you want. So that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to talk a little bit, like I said already, about the AI, and how I just wanted to reiterate that, it's very important. It's one of the commandments is, take no idols, put any idols before the Lord. And that's what they're doing. They're, imagine how pissed off, God could be in a way, right? About this. And we put on our emotional baggage on the God. So I'm not saying, you can't imagine, but what I'm saying is that is not what you should do. Is to, you're coming from that lower vibration, and they're trying to emulate it, work their way up, when there's people already out there doing what they're doing, and getting those quote unquote light codes. They're getting that information in already, and they don't need to sit here and get electrodes put in your head so other people can think, your thoughts. You don't need to do that. You can do that already. You just need to practice. You need to be a spiritual being, and then you'll get to that level, is what I'm saying. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I hope everything goes well for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye.